Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Cape Town Sevens. This one, New Zealand versus Great Britain, the side that won it all last week, the Kiwis, and they are up against a valiant GB side here. Now, just in that most recent game, we saw 36-0 in favour of the Argentines, so they are sitting very nicely in the other grouping, but people have labelled this one as the pool of death. There is New Zealand, Fiji, South Africa, and Great Britain. Only two of these sides can go through to the semi-finals. Back in the old format, we could have seen three of these teams through, but not in this case. It is going to be all-out action from the get-go, but the Kiwis, they had a great win over Australia in the final, and just last week's game in Dubai, looking to back it up with another big performance here. But in the starting lineup for the Kiwis, it is Fletcher Morgan, Tony Nashu, Dylan Collier, Natoa Tipo, Brady Rush, who had an absolutely incredible final, as well as the playoff games in general for the Kiwis last week. Akulia Roka Lesoa and also Frank Vainuku closes out the Kiwi starting side. For the Great Britain side, it is Joshua Radcliffe, Ethan Waddleton, Duncan, Matt Davison, Bardelli, and then also Frostwick and Rory McAfee. But we are underway, kicked off by GB. They are going from left to right on the Cape Town Stadium turf, and we are ready to go. There we go, the scoreboard updating, but the New Zealanders, they are in possession inside of their own 22. Here's some stepping from Brady Rush. We did see his brother Rob get injured in the last leg of the Sevens, and New Zealand will win this, says Bruce. And yeah, they definitely want to get off to a great start. If you can win up against an opposition by more than the 7 points, that is absolutely huge, because that might be the difference between that side sneaking through in the later stages or them missing out completely. But Tony Nashu trying to break his way through, looking for an offload, and it's well handled by Brady Rush. It was down around the knee height. Afternoon Hamish says Roof there. You are doing extremely well. I've only been to one Sevens game. Says Jasmine, big knock on from Akulia Roka Lesoa. He was an open play as well down the wing, but this gives a golden opportunity to GB to be able to get some sort of set piece going in the early stages. Make New Zealand tough to beat again, says Shane. And also we have got there sunny but hell of a windy day here in Cape Town. Yeah, it was mentioned earlier on that it's quite windy at the stadium. Wonder whether or not that'll affect kickoffs. I know that last week in Dubai we saw quite a few interesting kickoffs attempted by the sides. Now ball fed in by Frostwick. Maybe this afternoon get to the stadium, says Ruth. It does look like it's a beautiful day in Cape Town, with the exception of that wind, although as long as it's not too bad, that is the main thing. Going off to the left-hand side, Ethan Waddleton, GB getting some much-needed early possession here up against the New Zealanders. Try and take the wind out of their sails. Trying to spin out of that one was Bardelli. And how are you, long time? No see, been busy. Says Fortnite, been doing very well. Hopefully you have been well too. Been enjoying some of the rugby action that has been taking place. That's going to be the penalty on the way of GB. But now this is an opportunity for, once again, Great Britain to just set something going, whether that's with a scrum or a quick tap. It looks like they're undecided at the moment. Now giving the ball into the hands of Joshua Radcliffe, no relation, the man who plays Harry Potter. I love to see a France game, says Ruth, and Cape Town is a very windy city. So there you go. Says Bruce, yeah, a little bit similar to what we see from Wellington here in New Zealand. Going off to the right-hand side, good step from Ethan Waddleton. That looked a little bit high from Dylan Collier. No advantage against them, though. New Zealand in the breakdown try and get the steal, but they've been penalised once more. Off to the right-hand side, Great Britain. Beautiful inside pass, and it will be the first try of the contest. GB on the board. And that is exactly the start that they would have been after. The Scottish man in Frostwick scoring it. And once again, it's what you want early on. A little bit of ill discipline from the Kiwis. That is, of course, not what they would have wanted, but GB wanted to make the most of the opportunity. Did you see the Rugby World Cup team? I assume you're talking the draw, and absolutely I did. And no donuts for GB. And also, do you think Tonga versus Zimbabwe is the least talked about game come out of the Rugby World Cup draw? I don't think so. I think that was one of the ones that we were talking about right from the get-go in terms of just being pure physicality. That's not at my team, says Shane. Do you think having the Sevens in the Olympics probably saved Sevens? I'd say to a certain extent, but it also meant that they got a little bit, I would almost say, too eventful in the regular Seven circuit. Like, I believe the Sevens should still be either 12 or 16 teams. And it shouldn't just be limited to the sides that normally make it through to the Olympics. Because, losing Kenya, Samoa, USA, Ireland, all these sides that normally you would see, that's a great run from Frank Vainuku. And tell you what, they're actually not going to catch him. He flies down the wing and scores the try in the corner. It was a great chase in the end from GB, but not quite enough, as it does get the Kiwis straight back into the contest with one of their first attacking touches of the day. That one has been awarded Frank Vainuku, just that little step and shuffle to be able to bust his way through. Doesn't grow the games. Says Big Rig there. Found this random tune, YouTube autoplay, but it's really good. Do you mind if I post it here, Hamish? It's so good, dark techno and good, or but good. Says Ruby. I'm not sure whether or not YouTube let you put links that I know of, so it may not actually come up, but you can try it and doesn't grow the game. And also, now you're talking. Says Shane after that first try from the Kiwis, although both sides have missed their kick at the post. So 5 minutes into the contest, and it is 5-all between these sides. New Zealand, the most successful team in South Africa with 11 cup titles. Nicely taken by Great Britain, just inside of their 22 now. That ball was loose. Akuria Rokalesoa kicking it downfield, but it does just end up drifting into touch. We have there rainy, says Wild Lobster. Rainy, as in like it's rainy where you are, or that it's supposed to be rainy later in Cape Town maybe. And high five, says Hobbit. New Zealand averaged the most line breaks per game of any team in Dubai with 3.6 is the other stat. That's just popped up on the screen, but thrown in by GB. That was almost stolen by New Zealand. In fact, it has been Brady Rush. Now away to the left-hand side of Kulia Rokalesoa, waiting for it on the outside. They won't quite need him. They decide to go with the big forwards right next to the breakdown. Frank Vainuku, he is so dangerous, he gets over. They thought that they had the tackle made on him, but he just powers over the goal line, and he gets his second now of the contest, right next to the post, making it a nice, easy kick around here in the middle of South Africa. Says Wild Lobster. And maybe in the future we will have them back. Also GB. Are we back to Wales, Scotland, Wales, and England? Says Norway T there. And I like that try, says Jasmine. Well, it just seemed like Great Britain, they thought that the tackle was made, so they were getting defensively set for the next phase. But Frank Vainuku had other plans. He just stayed on his feet, waited just that little bit longer, and then powered towards the goal line. But 12 points to 5 now in favour of New Zealand, looking to go back-to-back first two legs of the 7 circuit. So a lot of tough games still to come for this side. They have to face Fiji, and they have to face South Africa, but that ball's going to be knocked on by New Zealand, kicked into touch by Great Britain. Will now be the New Zealand line out from the halfway line. Great New Zealand. Says Hobbit there. Come on, New Zealand, get another try, says Jasmine. All decided to take this one quickly, New Zealand, not even letting it get to the line out, which is probably a decent idea because of the fact that the last line out was extremely competitive between the two sides. Big firing pass across field from Andrew Newstub going to the right. Now, stepping from a Kulia Rokalesoa, goes to Nashu. Brady Rush close to the sideline, offloads back on the inside. Nashu having a rough time trying to pick up that ball as it was trying to evade him, but now New Zealand moving it left-hand side, near side of the Cape Town field. Newstub, another offloader. Kulia Rokalesoa one-on-one. And a 99% of the time you back him to get around the defender, and that is the second try of the last 2 minutes for New Zealand. So near the end of this half, that is where they've really made their mark in this contest. But heading into the halftime break, they will more than likely be up by 14 points, maybe 12. This kick does go over, or misses. They stay on it and smash. Says Shane, and getting that points differential in the right direction is absolutely crucial for these sides. I mentioned about if the other side are within 7, it could be the difference between them making it through and missing out. That is a good finish from Akuria Rokalesoa. Puts himself on the try-scoring sheet. We see Frank Vainuku. He's already got the 2. Now getting ready to kick this one over, and it has gone straight through the middle, so that makes the score now 19 points to 5 at half-time. Well, who come on fire? Says Roof there. Just the one try for Great Britain at this stage. Rowan Frostwick, man who has been able to score. And of course, there is a game just around the corner, which is absolutely huge. Could be an extremely competitive one. Fiji versus South Africa. You're doing the Munster match. Initially, I was going to be, as it wasn't overlapping with anything, but I'm actually now going to be hanging out with all the other Kiwi lads. They're actually all down in the same place at the same time, and unfortunately it is during that time that the Munster match is on, so I will be ending up going and seeing them. Must be something in the water in Cape Town. Big scores this weekend, says Ruby. And come on, Frank, baby, says Ruth. Yeah, in the women's game, we did see 2 one-sided games, and then the other 2 split by 8 and 7 points. So far in the men's, we've seen 1 close game, and then 2 other games. If New Zealand keep on scoring at this rate, we could see 2 blowouts. Argentina versus Australia being the other one. I'd like to think Fiji versus South Africa should be close, hopefully. But then I thought Australia-Argentina was going to be close, and that one was about as unclose as it could have been. Second half, just around the corner. South Africa versus Fiji, that one's coming up just around the corner. That one's in 8 minutes' time. And that is also going to be a part of the same group that New Zealand and Great Britain are in. They have to make sure that they do get it right from the get-go. You do not want to lose your first game. South Africa were able to beat France in the last competition. Fiji able to pull off the comeback victory over the Argentines. But second half of this game, very close to starting up, and then pretty much going straight over to that next competition, or the next matchup between Fiji and the South Africans. There's a random pirate ship out on the Cape Town Sea by the looks of it. I wonder if that's like a remade one or an old school one that they have kind of running repairs maybe too, but it's kicked off long from a Kulia Roka Lesoa. And with the breeze, that is a decent tactic, although nicely claimed there, and already a sub has been made by Great Britain. We do see on the field Damien Hoyland, and the penalty goes the way of New Zealand. Did it go all according to plan for the others? Argentina lost to Fiji, says Ruth. So last week there were a few upsets along the way. I do think that France beating Spain was expected in the men's side of things. Argentina beating Australia by such a big margin definitely was not. But now all thought about the pass on the outside does get it there. And it's going to be another try. This time it is Morgan, or in fact Fletcher Morgan I should say. I almost said Morgan Fletcher, but he had scored his first try for the All Black Sevens. Coming at a big time as well in this contest as they now progress that lead to the 19 points. Like they've said, the last minute pass going on the outside, unmarked down the wing, Fletcher Morgan. Why do South African teams play in the European Champions Cup? They're not Europeans because they find themselves in the European-based competition, if that makes sense, because of the URC having predominantly sides from Europe. But yeah, it's an interesting one, whether or not they'd ever change that name because of the fact that South African sides are in it. It's the same with the Challenge Cup. We see the Cheetahs, we see the Black Lions in there too. Only voice in the world, which makes me up when I'm hungover without fail, says Ruby there. And England haven't got the speed. Yeah, they just found themselves trapped inside of their own half. The start of the second 7-minute period. They are still trying to run the attack from only 15 from their own try line. Another low tackle made on Matt Davison. Bit of a counter ruck from Tony Nashu, but now GB start to move it away to the right-hand side. Popping it on the inside. Running it sideways again. This is almost running it backwards here for Great Britain, but it is effective if it can create that little bit of space on the outside. We have got there, Hamish tends to soothe me when I'm agitated, says Ruth, and wait till you hear about Eurovision, says Big Rig. Now, off to the right, Radcliffe. This is good phase play from Great Britain. Oh, that's a massive clean out coming in the breakdown, though, from the Kiwis, but it is still on the side of GB. And we have got there, see, I'm right again. New Zealand win this game against not so great Britain, says Bruce. Well, they were favourites to be able to go on, seeing as they just got themselves the title, New Zealand. So picking a favourite, I guess you are still correct. And Canada wants to join it, says Big Rig. And England and Scotland are the only teams that play for the Kolkata Cup. Also seems odd, says Studs Rugby. There's going to be a big knock-on coming from Great Britain. Around the halfway line now, New Zealand with themselves the scrum, currently sitting 5 tackles made, 5 missed for the GB side. So only a 50% tackle completion in New Zealand. Anytime that there's been a missed tackle, they've just been able to get that momentum going. But they've completed 38 passes in this match, the Kiwis. 16 carries compared to Great Britain's 14. I do think that a lot of those carries, a lot of those passes for GB all came from just trying to get up to the halfway line from inside of their 22, but New Zealand working away to the right. Korea Roka Lesoa. It's always going to be dangerous waiting for that possession. That ball's going to be picked up by GB though. And now he's going to be in the foot race of Korea Roka Lesoa. Oh, in fact, it was Lasangu who managed to get there. Just recently made his way onto the field. That ball's thrown into touch by Great Britain. Oh, a little bit of push and shove afterwards. Oh, that's a hard slam. And I would say that Lasung is going to be very lucky to avoid a yellow card here. Yes, his teammate did get dropped, but alongside that, that probably wasn't necessary to judo throw a man onto the hard turf next to the field. And yeah, he looks injured at the moment. Matt Davison, I'm not sure what happens here. So pretty much, yeah, cheap shot from New Zealand to start it off. Then Matt Davidson trying to knock him over, which he does, makes the tackle, rolls him over backwards. Then from there continues, and then Lasunga grabs him and drags him down, throws him onto the ground. So I don't see any way that this won't be a penalty against New Zealand here. And yep, GB have got themselves a position. They're normally pretty strict on foul play, so the Kiwis possibly lucky not to go to the bin here. We have got there, what's with these rugby players going nuts in the closing minutes of games. Says Big Rig. I mean, our Great Britain going to use that little bit of motivation to get back into the contest. Lasanga getting fended off. Another offload. Going back to Charlton Kerr. And not nice play, says Ruth. Looking for that seal on the breakdown, though, for New Zealand. Not quite able to get it again. Now moving. Oh, that's a big collision there. I think it was the man on the far side, Natoa Tipo, and another penalty going the way of Great Britain. The discipline starting to fold here a little bit for the Kiwis. Thank you very much, Philip. Greatly appreciated for your generosity there once again. Closing minutes of games, they aren't even close. Or they aren't even close, says Big Rig. Yeah, it just seemed like a weird one. Kiwis showing a little bit of frustration, even though they're winning by 19 points. Now, big run. Charlton Kerr gets over. And this could be perhaps the changing moments of this contest. GB just needed half a bit of motivation, and the Kiwis gave them that. They will now more than likely move up to 12. Oh, he might be in trouble. Yeah, it's a big shot. Kaltanana said nothing wrong with it. But Charlton Kerr just driving over the try line. The Union should start the new competition like UCL, so European teams can play New Zealand clubs. Well, they are kind of doing that. They're doing a Club World Cup in a few years' time. The Ghost mod is here, says Beds Ablaze. Stay on task for the entire stop. Being bigger than the team, says Shane. Now the score's sitting 12 points to 24. 2 minutes remaining for Great Britain to be able to get themselves 2 tries to work this one towards either golden point or a victory. Slapped back by Charlton Kerr. More possession for GB, but it's called as the knock-on. As Blitzwat's going to win. In front of the home crowd, they should, but their form was a little bit up and down last week. I do have to say Fiji, to me, played a pretty consistent kind of sevens competition. Narrowly lost up against the Kiwis in the semi-final, which, to be fair, was always going to be a pretty tough game with the form that New Zealand were in heading into that semi-final. But honestly, that game could go either way by, I want to say, 7 or less. But I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. And it is only around the 90 seconds away from starting up. We will be going straight over to that live stream as soon as this one ends. There's going to be another scrum feed here for New Zealand. Just the 60 seconds at the moment. Managed to lose versus Blues. So here's a short video. And there, and yeah, it could happen in that Club World Cup. New Zealand have only lost 10 pool games from 70 played in South Africa, which is an absolutely incredible stat. But they have got 2 very tough games around the corner. They'll be playing up against Fiji and also these South Africans. And the Kiwi lads takes this one hands down. The final, I mean. They have a huge support in Cape Town, and New Zealand seems a little bit off in this. By underestimating GB. GB are a mixed bag of a side. Sometimes they do extremely well, sometimes they don't. But I would say New Zealand, they kind of, it seems like to me, they got that big lead and then they just kind of took the foot off the gas. Only 15 seconds remaining, and they may still find themselves another try here for the end of the contest. Big fend down the wing. Thought about offloading it. It does manage to get it away to Lasanga, and another penalty going the way of New Zealand. Quick tap taken. Now another step in, that will be another try here. New Zealand, they'll win this game 31 points to the 12. But what we will do is we will very quickly jump over to that next live stream, Fiji versus South Africa. I will see you all in a very short moment. We will summarise this game while we're at it as well over on that next stream. To see you all very shortly.